Please welcome your host from random corners of the world, making his way through the jungle of online businesses to $10 million. Anatoly Spector. Anatoly Spector.
Oof, a lot of things never go well. Hey guys, how are you doing? So, Nate is running a little bit late. He's a digital nomad, so he was changing villas and he cannot find his villa today. So, that what happens when we do travel around the world. Meanwhile, I'm going to answer some of your questions and we're going to wait until he comes and then I'm going to introduce him and then we're going to go as normal. But I thought I'm not going to delay this anymore because I have some of your guys' questions and you actually post them if you have any specific questions for myself in the comments and then I'll be answering them. But if you don't, I'm just going to pick up some of those questions that you guys ask me the most and do my best to answer them. So one of the questions I'm getting asked all the time, what products should I sell on Amazon? Anywhere, what product should I sell? And I recorded a video about that on Instagram and you can check it out. But essentially, here's my philosophy. I'm not a guru. I'm not a millionaire. I'm just a regular guy who tries to make it work. But if you ask me, what product should you sell? You should find something that is the niche that is that's not served fully yet. So if you go to a niche like Bluetooth headphones, where, well, you might figure out some new ways for people to enjoy Bluetooth headphones, but there are so many variations already that will be very, very hard to do. Whereas there are a lot of niches. I think Steven Sommers on this podcast talked about that you can look at lots of hobbies. So let's say aquaspacing, something I recently looked for. When you look for aquaspacing, there will be like rocks, aquaspacing rocks. So you would be like, okay, aquaspacing rocks. That's something that I didn't know about. So maybe there's some way to make them better. The other way I go about this is when I find some niche, I start to look for keywords. What are some of the keywords people are searching for that not too many results are coming for? And if you find, let's say, blue aquaspacing rocks on Helium-10, I use for this tool called Helium-10. I go to a tool called Magnet. I would put aquaspacing and it will give me a lot of keywords related to aquaspacing. And then I would go for them and I usually filter it by maybe, let's say, 1,000 searches to 5,000 searches. And then I would look and say aquaspacing. And then I would say, let's say blue aquaspacing rocks. And I would click on that and I would see that has 2,000 searches, but nobody is providing blue aquaspacing rocks, or maybe somebody's providing them, but they're too big and you can provide small ones. This is an opportunity. This is what I find is the best way because people are already searching for this. So all you need to do actually is find a keyword and then serve those people who need this. Before I go and I start launching that, of course, I validate that idea. So I might go to Facebook, to aquaspacing forums and say, you guys, anyone knows where to buy good blue aquaspacing rocks? And then people might reply to you. Or I would go to the tool I use called Picfu. And if you want to know more about Picfu, you can go to my conversation, Anthony Cofrancesco. He is part of the Picfu. And this is the way on Picfu you can actually split test. So you can take the old aquaspacing rocks, the new the competitor aquaspacing rocks, your aquaspacing rocks, and then just check which ones would sell better. And then people leave you feedback. Oh, those aquaspacing rocks looks amazing, or those look not good. And then this way you will find out if your one has a chance, and you can actually narrow it down by people who like aquaspacing and stuff like that. So for people who just joined, Nate is running a little bit late. So I am answering your guys' questions. Meanwhile, he lost his villa because he was like, there was dark outside and he got to a new island. He's a digital nomad and he's in Thailand. So digital nomads, you can forgive them everything. I'm a digital nomad as well, so I completely understand that. So essentially, when you got and you found this aquaspacing rocks is better than those aquaspacing rocks, or this product is better than that product, you have to find out the way how to make the packaging and just make it better and then launch it. And for people who are like, I'm afraid I'll lose a lot of money. Well, if you're afraid so much, don't invest Don't invest millions of dollars. Don't invest thousands of dollars. Just buy, I don't know, 500 units. Try it out. See if it works. People are joining. Nate is running a little bit late, so I am answering your guys' questions. So if you have any questions about Amazon, about myself, about 10 million journey, anything, just put them in the comments. Let's have some chat while Nate is getting here. The other question I'm getting asked a lot: how to stay motivated? And this is a really big question. And to be honest, I'm not completely sure. Again, I'm not one of those people like Tony Robbins who can jump, and then jump in a pool, and then he'll be pumped all day and like do kind of stuff. I'm getting tired a lot. I'm getting angry a lot, but I work on myself. So I think the thing that drags me down is bad food. So if I eat something that is very heavy, I would not feel well. The things that would drag me down is when I don't have clear plan. Let's say I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm completely lost. So those would be the thing that would drag me down. The thing that do make me motivated is when I have clear goals. So when that's why I do set goals. And with Nate today, I want to talk about goal setting because he's really big in goal setting. So I'm really going to pick his brain on goal setting when he comes here. But essentially, he's saying I'm looking. He said he made it. So Nate will be here shortly. So yeah, how do I stay motivated? I meditate. I do yoga. I try to exercise as much as possible. I listen to podcasts like this when people share value. I read books. Books is my number one motivator. I always, when I'm walking, I'll have Audible in my ears listening to something or a podcast. When I run, I do the same. So yeah, that would be the ways for me to stay motivated. Doesn't always help, but for the most part, works pretty well. The other question I did get asked was, how does my team look like now? So on the podcast, I'm talking about my team quite a few times. So how does it look like now? So it's me, and I am responsible for strategy. I'm responsible for finding opportunities and to find connections to network with people. Here's what I'm doing right now, networking with you guys. Then my wife is my business partner. She's responsible for the operations and finances. We do have a VA who is Amazon VA who helps us source products, who helps us customer support, shipping, and all those things. Then we also do have another. I guess we did had a person who was in the United States to answer calls and to work with US-based suppliers, but I think she left, so we don't have her anymore, but we're looking for someone to send test packages and stuff like that. So team is very small, but we are not a big operation. We just have 2 products and launching 4 products this year. And that's why we don't need a lot of people. Oh, I see somebody's joining us. Let's see. Here, the man himself. Boom. Hey man, how are you doing?
Whew, man, okay, now it's a little more of an adventure than was expecting.
Yeah.
I mean, so what happened? I moved down to the Thai islands. I'm on Koh Phangan right now because it's burning season up in Chiang Mai where I was staying, and so I'm here. I stayed at a hotel last night, and I moved into this villa today. I go out, go to the gym. I get moved in. I go to the gym and get dinner to come back before before this. It's at 7:30, and then I go and I put the villa into the Google Maps, and like. I mean, I guess I could actually show you it. It shows up like that, and like I'm on this island, and like the road, it's dark, it's not well lit. I know it's up a concrete road and then a gravel road, but anyway, the guy had to come. He got me. I'm here. It's a little stressful, but we made it.
I'm a digital nomad myself, so I completely understand it, how you can get lost, because when we're changing Airbnbs all the time, changing places, and it's so easy to get lost. That's actually my biggest fear. When I'm in a new place, that my phone will run out or something, and I won't find how to get back. So
yeah, it's I mean,
I represent with you. Okay, so let's do our usual. you're safe, you're good. Have a sip of water while I introduce you, and then let's go from there. So, let me get my notes here. So whoever joined us right now, welcome. This is 10 Million Journey, and I'm Anatoly. This is a space where I document how I scale my business to 10 million and talk to inspiring entrepreneurs along the way. And my guest today, as you guys probably already figured out, is Nate Ginsburg. Nate is a CEO of Sellerplex, a seller that helps businesses to prepare for and maximize their exit. Nate actually sold his Amazon business several years ago, so he has lots of experience in it. And we're going to talk today about what it is to sell an e-commerce business, because I don't know nothing about it, and I'm sure it's very, very useful for many of you. I have been following Nate for quite some time, even though he probably doesn't know that. We have lots in common. Nate is also a fellow podcaster. His podcast is called Ecommerce Exits. He interviews successful entrepreneurs who either exit their businesses or just share their exciting stories. He's also, as you guys just found out, a digital nomad like I am, and has all the struggles of being a digital nomad. He's residing in beautiful Thailand, which makes me a little bit jealous, I'll be honest. And he also is really good with yoga. I mean, I'm not really good at all. I'm just watching YouTube videos, but Nate is doing some full-blown handstands or doing crazy poses. You guys should go to his Instagram. I'll leave a link below. You guys can check it out. It's pretty crazy. So we're going to talk about what it takes to sell e-commerce business, team building, goal setting, travel, and mindfulness. So lots to cover. Nate, welcome.
All right, welcome. Thank you for the kind intro.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you on. And I usually start the conversation with getting a guest backstory from the early days, but we don't have much time. And I decided that there's lots of interviews with you. So I'll put them down below. Who everyone is interested in the Nate's backstory, just go check it out. The one I would recommend was the last one Nate did with Crossover Commerce with Ryan Kramer. Really good. Check this out. But I want to just get straight into selling the business. And I want to start with a question that probably many people ask you. Why did you decide to sell your business?
Well, we had a good offer. And yeah, I mean, when I selling my business was, it all happened it was very unexpected. And yeah, basically, so I was living in Ho Chi Minh City at the time, and yeah, was in Vietnam and was having a call with my my business partner Travis, and he just kind of mentioned, he was like, "Hey, like, would you be interested in selling the business?" And I was like, maybe." He's like, "Well, I maybe know someone who wants to buy it." I was like, "Oh, really?" So long story short, like literally 2 days later, I was on a plane to fly to China to meet this potential buyer who is, he's a Chinese guy who has a big Chinese Amazon like factory. and yeah, they were looking to buy. I mean, they had bought a bunch of businesses and then they were looking to buy more. And yeah, I mean, that was the, I guess, I mean, that ended. We eventually, I mean, were able to come to an agreement and sold the business, but yeah, it was from, it was that. So like, we didn't go through a broker. It wasn't, we weren't like planning on doing this. It just, kind of had the opportunity and somebody made an offer. And, for a variety of reasons, I thought that the timing was right for that business. And yeah, I mean, a lot of lessons, going through that, and was really, I mean, grateful and fortunate to even have been at a place where, because it did happen so suddenly, and I wasn't, we didn't like prep the business for sale. It was just, we just kind of, had what we were working with. And fortunately my team did a really great job. Basically, like, yeah, fortunately I had really great team that managed the business really well for me, so that when we had the opportunity to exit, we were able to take advantage. Because yeah, I mean, and now, we work with, other businesses and have, worked with a bunch that like, there are certain things that you need in order to be able to exit. And fortunately, my team had me on top of those things. So when we had the opportunity, could take advantage.
Amazing. Yeah, you're just guessing my next question, because actually we're going to talk about your team in a second. But for somebody who have thoughts about selling their business, or sometimes someday might consider selling their business, what would be those things that you were talking about that they need to have in order to be sellable?
Yeah. So there's a few things that, every business, whether it's FBA or service or software, it's like just needs in order to sell. One of them is clear and complete financials, which is, we can kind of come back to that one. It's basically, it's clear and complete financials, and the business is not dependent on you to run. So that's like transferability.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's really all you need is, you got to have the clean, complete, and correct financials, and a business that's not dependent on you to run. And so then, within those, there's some gray area, and so there's a couple different things potentially that could snag, or you could kind of get around with, but so starting with the not dependent on you to run. So this is something that FBA businesses are not usually a problem for FBA businesses, because fortunately Amazon does a lot of the heavy lifting on the operations. But like, as another example, so let's say you're an e-commerce business and you're fulfilling your orders from your garage. Yeah. And like, if I want to buy that from you, or a buyer wants to buy that, if you're physically fulfilling the orders, like, are you coming with the business? Like, it gets tricky. Yeah. And so that's that, that transferability piece that, that Amazon makes easier. And so often with FBA businesses, that transferability piece is checked. And then the other piece, which is, it's like a hard rule, but it's also, I'm learning a little bit of gray area potentially, but it shouldn't be. Like, if you're going to sell a business, what do you need to know? Like, what is the value of the business, right? It's important. And in order to get to the value of the business, you need to be able to review the financials. I mean, like, the way that these businesses are valued, it's, a multiple of your yearly profit, or seller discretionary income, EBITDA, whatever. And so let's say I'm buying this business from you, and we agree at a 3x multiple, or a 4x, or 3.5, or 2.5, whatever. That number that we build the multiple on, it's, there's a lot riding on that, right? I mean, like, that's what you're buying a multiple of the profit of that business. And so you need to be able to know what that number is, and like, not close or like estimate. You need to really know like exactly what that number is, your profit, your, the seller discretionary income. Like, it's a pretty important number. I mean, and this is if you want to sell your business or not. You should, I'm of the opinion that it's good to know how much profit you're making or not in general in business. So I think it's a valuable 100%. Piece, whether you want to sell or not. And I mean, and the reason I kind of, I'll go on about this is because it blows my mind how many sellers and successful 7-figure seller, 6-7-figure sellers that are just not on top of this. And like, unfortunately, I'm realizing this more and more at Sellerplex, we do some, we'll sometimes take on some due diligence projects. And so in due diligence is where we are, we're hired by the buyer to review, review the financials and the business and the documents to, that it is what it's supposed to be on the buyer's behalf. And so, we've done both sides. So we've, and it's the same sides of different sides of the same coin, preparing a business for an exit and, doing due diligence on a business that is being sold. It's you're doing the same things. And anyway, and so when we've I guess the businesses that we've helped prep for sale have all been larger. So like 7-figure plus exits. Mm-hmm. And the brokers that we worked with on those are, they're good brokers. I don't know, like reputable, quality. Yeah. And so the standards that we, got used to working on in terms of what a business needs, in terms of clear and complete financials, for example, is kind of set at a certain level. And now actually, we're actually in the process of doing some due diligence for a client who's buying 2 FBA businesses. And like, it's actually, it's blowing my mind. And it's also, it's frustrating, the lack of information that like the seller is sharing. Like they don't have their P&L, their cost of goods on some of them is like calculated incorrectly. And good that the buyer, employed a due diligence company such as us, because, we're able to see these things, but it's like, there's just like, there's holes, there's mistakes. There's like, it's crazy. And unfortunately, like this is more, I think this is more the rule common, than the exception. Yeah. Like it's I don't know. Like So the numbers, need to be correct and complete. And so some of the areas that people trip up or will like not have correct would be, for example, accurate cost of goods. And like, I get it. Cost of goods it's a pain to calculate. It changes after every shipment, and, sometimes this or that. And like, the whole point of accounting is like the numbers need to be correct. Like mostly correct isn't correct. They need to be 100% correct. And like these are things that a lot of sellers just they overlook. And they think, and like, I've been there, and like, not like, disclosure, I am not an accountant. I don't want to be an accountant, but from running my own businesses, I appreciate the importance and the value of having good numbers. And so long story short, have clean and complete financials, not dependent on you to run. Mm-hmm. And I'll say like where I was saved. So my team, and we can kind of talk into more of the team stuff later, but like I was really fortunate to have amazing people that were much better at these things working for me, that had me and my business, up to date with our financials. So when we had the opportunity, in the business that bought us, they did their own due diligence. Like, we could back up all the numbers that we claimed, and we, had records and could show them. And so that allowed us to have a successful exit. But yeah, where it trips up a lot of other sellers is where, most at a certain size, a broker, they won't allow you to list. It should be, it is a requirement to have a complete P&L, but as I'm learning, some brokers are, have higher or lower quality standards than others. And so, mm-hmm. It can, for sellers that are listening, it's important. You want to get in front of this, because otherwise it's going to delay things later. It's going to cause problems. And so, want to get in front of that. I think. Mm-hmm.
Just one thing that I want to point out that not many people know, apparently, and I was surprised not many people know, but this is the fact that you're not getting the price of your business is not your revenue. Some people think I'm making $1 million, but my profit is like 100,000 or 50,000. I'm going to get $1 million. Well, that's not true. This they will calculate it based on your $50,000 or $100,000. They might do like 3x or 3.5x, but it's not like $1 million. So it's good to know for people who are listening, because I was surprised, but not many people know. So here you go. Now you know. And now the other question, I think that actually people ask me, but I'm not the best person to answer it. So I'll pass it to you. When is the best time to sell your business?
Oh man. It's It's a good question. I mean, this is this rabbit hole goes deep. And yeah, I mean, the other question that kind of presupposes is, should you sell your business? And yeah, I mean, we can kind of talk both sides a little bit. I mean, there is no right or wrong answer. But I'll say that some reasons that people do sell their business, and I think are good ones. And I guess one reason and why I sold was I thought that my business, I thought that it had peaked. So I thought that it was kind of on its way down. And so I saw that as an opportunity to, get out while it was, pretty much on top. And I thought it peaked because some of our best selling products were, not super defensible. And I just kind of saw a trend of more competition and this, and so I saw the future of the business, a downward trend line for those SKUs at least.
Okay.
And so that's one reason. Other reasons, other people sell when, if you get to a number where then you don't have to work again. And it's like, all right, well, there you go, you're done.
Or you're stressed out too much.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but then I'll say some of the reasons for for not to sell, or just stuff to think about. It's like, when you sell your business, it's like a piece of your identity that is gone, and it can be challenging, or for me was challenging. It's like, you come off this exit. And, I'm a big people person. I used to love going to events and, part of a bunch of masterminds and this and that. And I remember going to an event after I sold my business, and like, this was maybe a couple months after I sold or something. And like, at first it's like, oh, hey, I just sold my business. Everyone's like, oh yeah, congrats. That's great. But then, a little bit later, it's like, oh, I sold this business, 3 months ago. Oh, I sold this business 6 months ago. I sold this business 1 year ago. At a certain point, it's like, oh, like, who cares? Like, what are you doing now? And so yeah, like, you lose. You're in a lot of ways, you start over after you sell your business. At least, like, that's a lot of what my experience the last few years have been. Is for better for worse, you get like a blank slate, and there's benefits and advantages of that. And there's also challenges with that. And, now I'm much more like the businesses that, I mean, I think, so if you can exit for an amount of money that like is enough for you, whatever that means, I think that's, a great opportunity. But also, like, if this is a business that you think is like a long-term, like, in my opinion, the best asset to own is a profitable business out of anything. Yeah. Like, and so something to think about also is, all right, so let's say you can sell your business for $1 million or 5 million or 10, whatever the number, it doesn't matter. Like, at a certain point, I mean, and really what you should be thinking is, are you going to be able to get the same return on your capital from your business? And so if you have a business, that's a vehicle for you to, generate ROI by reinvesting your capital in that business. And, you can usually get a better ROI on a business that you already own than if you're starting from scratch, or you have to go, buy a new one.
Yeah.
And so I mean, that's stuff to think about. And also something else that like, people should consider more is that when it comes to, exit or not exit, it's like, it's not a black or white thing. There's a lot, for example, you could hire a CEO to run the business for you, or hire, you can really just build yourself out of it. So you're, a board member, or you're just totally a business owner. And that's a little bit like my relationship with Sellerplex is like, I've got an amazing team running it. I've got a general manager who, manages the business, and like, I'm involved a little bit. I'm on calls every once in a while, or I check in on Slack, but like, I'm not, I'm much more of a, owner advisor as opposed to like operator in that business. Yeah. And, that's an option for everyone. If you, want to pursue that, and, you want to build your business in that way. And so that's an interesting option. And another one is a partial exit. And so this is something. So now I'm actually I'm consulting with a client where he has an awesome multi-million-dollar FBA plus wholesale, and yeah, he's kind of going. It's at a point where he could he did like $1 million profit last year around. And so could exit that for 3 mil ish, 3 plus inventory. You're looking at 4, maybe 5 mil. Like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, he sees a lot of opportunity to grow the business. He enjoys it. And a lot of what like we've been working on together is to build him out of the business so he can be more the, owner as opposed to, working in the business. And so now it's like, like he's made a lot of progress. And so he is much more being the owner and not in the business. And, he's doing more of the things that he enjoys doing and wants to do as opposed to the, stuff he doesn't want. Yeah. And so, yeah, so he's kind of, he's at this point where he's considering, should he, on one hand, he can exit and, say 4 mil, 3 mil, 5, whatever, millions. Or it's like, or does he keep it? But there's another option of maybe you sell part of it, and that part of it could be, 5%, 10%, 50%. It could be 80%. I mean, there's no rules here, and you can, like whatever outcome you're really going for, like you can get creative. And I mean, some are easier than others, but yeah, I guess long roundabout answer for there's a lot.
It's amazing. I actually love it because you should not consider only selling or not selling. There are so many other options that you can consider, which is really good, because when people think like they're tired or like they want to sell, that they have only one opinion. Oh, I need to sell or not sell. But yeah, I'm really like that you're giving more sort of ideas for people to think. And speaking about the business again, let's talk about your team, because you said many times in many podcasts, and you said today a couple of times, that your team is a big part of your success. So how does your team look like, and how did you get this superstar team?
Yeah, so a couple things. So to start, it really starts with understanding your role as business owner, as CEO, and what that job description is and looks like, and what that job description does not look like. And so I've been really fortunate in my life to have, amazing mentors and to have been able to learn from really successful entrepreneurs that just like so fortunate, friends and community and mentors to be able to learn these things around, like, what the job description of a CEO is, for example. And so what that is the CEO is responsible for, the vision, the direction, steering the ship, company culture, how to allocate capital, meaning like what areas of the business to invest or reinvest or build. And so that's the CEO's job description. And some things that you'll notice that are not a part of that job description are things like responding to customer service, dealing with Amazon listing issues, haggling with your freight forwarder to get the goods to clear customs because there's a delay and you need to get the paperwork from China to get to the broker. Yep. All of doing accounting is not a part of the CEO job description, and we can go on and so the thing is, I guess it was I learned earlier in my career, was maybe like hammered into me like what like my role, like if, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a business owner, I want to be a CEO. And it was just kind of hammered in of what that role is and what that role isn't. And so that's where it starts, is with this, like, you need to understand what your ideal role is and what it's not. And so once I had that understanding, then I noticed I'd be doing these things in the business. And look, we all start doing everything. That's how, business starts, right? Like you don't have, a lot of money or resources to invest. So you do it yourself, which is great. I mean, it's what you got to do. But I had this idea in the back of my head as I was building my business of like, I was doing these things that I knew weren't my, highest and best use. We're not growing the business. We're not the CEO roles. And so yeah, like being aware. So the first part is knowing what role you should play. And then therefore recognizing when you're playing the other roles that you don't need to be playing. And recognizing that those are opportunities for you to fill them with someone who is a better fit for that role to handle that for you. And so that's a part of it. Another one is like, I think that life should be fun and enjoyable and we should do work that we enjoy and gives us energy and matters to us. And we should do as much of our life and our work should be as much of those things and the least amount of, the other things that are draining, are heavy, are not fun, are irritating, the least amount of those as possible. And so, I kind of, a combination of knowing my ideal role and just like a low tolerance threshold for doing things that I don't want to do. It led me to start delegating. And actually I broke the delegating hiring seal for me in my career, like quite early. So I kind of had this, I guess like a background of just like, I was comfortable hiring from earlier in my career before I got into Amazon. I wasn't a great hire, but I knew that was an option that I could hire, which a lot of people, they just don't even think of, I have to do everything myself. And so all these things. And so with FBA businesses, and now I teach this, and this is something that I help others with, and that it's like FBA businesses are, one thing that's great about them is they're quite similar. And so FBA businesses, they all have this, similar buckets of what they need. And so it all starts with building your organizational chart. And so again, with your organizational chart, when it starts, you're doing everything and that's fine. But what you need to do and understand is that even when it's just you, there are different buckets of roles that you are fulfilling. And what those buckets and roles are generally for FBA business, and we can talk about, how to chop these up or this or that, get into that for sure. But generally it's, you need supply chain management, you need an Amazon bucket that I break into admin as well as marketing. You have accounting, finance, and then you have new product development. And so those are the core pieces to run an FBA business. Amazon, admin and marketing, supply chain, accounting, and new product development. And, they can be chopped up and split in some different ways. And that's not really the point. What the point is recognizing it's like bucketing the different roles and tasks into buckets. That's the important part. And that's important because it starts with you recognizing that even when it's just you're fulfilling, 5 or 6 of these different roles plus CEO. Yeah. And then what you need to do is you start to unplug, one at a time from, we can talk about the way to do. There's a lot of different strategies for how to do that or where to start and whatever, but you start unplugging, one by one, getting people in place to handle these things for you so that you level up and you're just the CEO. Yeah. And this is so important to think about these things as buckets again, because this is how your business scales. And so with my FBA business, as an example, we started with supply chain manager, Amazon admin. I was doing the marketing, bookkeeping, and I was doing the new product development. Was early-ish days. Yeah. And then when we started to really ramp up, I built a team around new product development. So at one point we had like four or five people that were doing new product development that like I built the system, but I unplugged and then hired, four or five people to, execute on this bucket, which allowed us to launch way more products than if, I couldn't do the work of five people, nor would I want to. And so, but by bucketing it off and recognizing that like this is a role, this is a function, you can stack that. And so I had four people, I could have hired 40. I mean, that would have been expensive and not practical for my business, but like that's how these businesses scale. And so and you need to have this mindset where you can see it from above and like understanding the big picture as well as the potential of where it's going, because where you're gonna get like stuck is when, if you're doing this business and it's just you and you're running everything and you don't see that vision for the future, and when you're stuck in the business and you don't see that vision, you can, oh well, I'm doing everything now and it's fine, and maybe it is, but where it's not fine is, okay, what if the business doubles? What if it 5x? What if it 10x's? Like, what if you have a big goal and a big dream? Like you can't do that yourself. And so,
or what if you have a baby? That's
yeah. What if you have
me?
There you go. I mean, things come up.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'd say to kind of sum, really to understand what your role as a business owner is. And to get clarity on your org chart and what roles you're currently playing, as well as what roles you want to unplug from. Yeah. And, that's kind of there's your blueprint of how to, unplug and become the owner and CEO and not stuck.
Amazing. We can talk about that all day, but I wanna talk about you, how you travel and stuff like that. So let's do a little bit of shift of that. I'm a digital nomad as well, so for me it's very interesting. But I know that many people would like to be able to travel, work and travel. And if somebody would come to you and say, Nate, I know you visited like 50 countries and you are in amazing Thailand, and I'm somewhere where it's dark, and I really want to do something like that. How would I start? What would you say?
Well, a lot of it starts and, kind of comes back to what we were just talking about like the reason that I've been able to travel and live abroad and all this, it's because like, I don't have to do everything in my businesses. And, so like back to having the right team and support. And so, yeah, I mean, that really, enables your lifestyle, and whether your lifestyle, you want to travel. I mean, I think that balance in life is important. Work is an important piece, but the life is also an important piece. And, that's why it's work-life balance. You want both of them. And, sure. And so, yeah, the same things that allow you to have work-life balance also allow you to, to travel. I mean, if that's the life you want. And so, yeah, it's like, I mean, making like the situation you want to be in is where, the business is able to run without you, and you can be the owner, work on the business, not in the business. And, that whether you want to travel, whether you want to sell the business, whether you want to, just kind of chill on autopilot, it's like the same thing will get you there. And that's why also when for any listeners or people that I talk to as well, even if like, I think whether or not you want to have an exit or sell the business, you should still build the business in a way that gives you the option to exit. And doing that because, maybe you never want to sell in a million years, and good, that's great. But building the business in this, like we talked about at the beginning, clear, complete financials, not dependent on you to run. Like that's just like a quality business. And whether you want to exit or not, like you should be, those are just foundations to be doing anyway. And, and those same foundations are going to allow you, I mean, the not dependent on you to run part is going to allow you to travel, to, do yoga, to have balance in your life, whatever it is. I mean, I'm really into my health and fitness and yoga and biking and, and obviously travel. I've been living abroad.
Well,
yeah. All this stuff. And like, it's because, and yeah, like I work hard too, for sure. And I mean, and hard work is important, but it's, doing the work that like I should be doing, but not the other stuff is like what everyone should be doing and what everyone like has available to them. They just have to build their business in the right way, which again is available to everyone. They just have to do it.
I think I'm a book nerd, so I think a really good book that people should read on that is called E-Myth. I think it describes very well about the procedures and how to be not the operator, but be the leader and CEO of your business. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll put in the show notes below. And then if you want to know hacks how to travel, I guess 4 Hour Workweek, if you haven't read it yet, this is about how to unplug and travel around and how to hire VAs to do your stuff. But I read that with a grain of salt because I don't know, people work for our work weeks or not, but the advice is still very, very valuable. At least changed my life for sure when I had a need. So right now you are in Thailand. What attracts you to this country?
Well, I wasn't planning on being here. This wasn't the original plan. But yeah, I was, I guess about a year ago, a little bit less than a year ago, in March of last year, I was in Bali. And this is when COVID was, picking up, becoming a thing. And basically, one day things were escalating. And I was supposed to fly back to America like a couple weeks later, but things were escalating and like I kind of saw the writing on the wall and was like, all right, I gotta pick somewhere that, thinking I'll be there for, at least a couple of months was the thought, wouldn't have imagined we'd be here a year later, in the same situation. Anyway, I was like, all right, I got to go somewhere to, where at least I can be for, the next while to kind of wait this out. And, for a variety of reasons, Thailand made sense for me. I've spent a good amount of time in Chiang Mai, which is, where I was, aside from when I just got down to the islands. I had some friends there. I knew the place. Chiang Mai is amazing. I love biking. It's got amazing biking, amazing food, great people. And just it was a good, for the options that I had available, like that one seemed to make the most sense. And so I literally I booked a flight that night, flew out of Bali, got into Thailand like a week before they closed the borders. And have been here since. And so this, it wasn't the plan to be here the whole year, but yeah, it's actually, Thailand's gotta be, one of the best definitely places to be during COVID. The country's done an amazing job of mitigating the situation. And so it was actually COVID free for 6 months. There was no COVID here. And then it kind of came back a little bit with this or that, but it's mostly manageable. Not like in America, for example, where I had a call with my general manager. He's in the Netherlands, and he said it's super strict lockdowns there. And so basically, Thailand's, there's not really COVID. There's no tourists, which means accommodation is super discounted. And so, I'm staying
everywhere else these days.
Yeah. Well, I think, Thailand, an extreme example, because I think Thailand has one of, if not the biggest tourism economy in the world. And so, that's obviously not happening. And so, I mean, tourism affected in a lot of places for sure, but I think Thailand even, more extreme. And plus, like, I mean, Thailand's amazing. Like, there's beaches, there's mountains, there's city. I mean, it's such a, like, yeah, it's really an amazing country. And I've, this year, this is the longest I've spent in Thailand. And yeah, I mean, it's been a great, like, I have a much deeper relationship with the country, now than I did, before the year. And honestly, like, super grateful for Thailand and the Thai people for, like, I mean, for me being able to be here. I mean, this is like such a better situation than a lot of other places. I mean, I have friends and family back in America, and I'm glad to be riding things out, at least for now, in Thailand, as opposed to,
100%.
somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely. It's on my list and my family's list, and we were planning actually to go. I was watching your Facebook stories, and I was like, we should probably consider, because we were planning to go to Bali, and then we did not because COVID hit and they closed the border. We had to exchange our tickets. But then I'm like, we should go to Thailand. But then they imposed a 14-day quarantine. We need to sit in the small room. And I don't mind if it would be just me, but I have a 2-year-old. So sitting for 14 days with 2-year-old, we're like, no. But when COVID, I guess, is restriction going to end, we will hopefully gonna get to Thailand, because, well, whatever you showed, I've been there before a long time ago, but it is an amazing country. And looking at your stories, how you're enjoying yourself there, seems like I would probably enjoy it as well.
Yeah, and like there's a good there's like an expat entrepreneur scene here, and so, I mean, in other years it's there's way more expat entrepreneurs, and it's a great scene. Now there's still some, but obviously not like usual.
Yeah. Amazing. So a couple of things I want to talk about. I know that you're very big on goal setting. You have your stories about every Sunday. I think you're setting your goals and you're making photo of your sort of notepad and how you set your goals. So can you walk me through the process? Like, how do you set your goals, and how does this routine help you to stay ahead?
Sure. So yeah, a couple things to unpack there. So it starts with, so this one book like totally changed the way that I think about all this, and has been so useful. It's called The One Thing. And the basic idea is that in any situation, there's always one most important thing, necessarily, the lead domino, that if you do this thing first, it's going to make everything easier, everything better. And, for me, like, I'm very entrepreneurial ADD. I have lots of ideas. I get excited. I want to do this. I want to do that. And in order to stay on track and focus, like, I just need to anchor myself. And the way that I'm able to do that is by just simplifying to the one thing. And so with that kind of thinking in mind so it starts with quarterly planning, which is so important. And so many people, again, they like, it blows my mind how many people don't do quarterly planning. Like, I freaking love doing quarterly planning. I mean, it's such an opportunity to reflect and to, realign and thinking about the big picture and like the outcome of quarterly planning. It's simple. Like, what I do is like 5 things ish, and then the one thing. And like, that's it. It's like, okay, so this quarter, you've got a handful of things, and then the one thing that if everything else falls apart, but you do this one thing, then the quarter's successful, and vice versa. If you do everything else, but not this one thing, then, it's not a success. And so it's applying that same kind of thinking quarterly, then weekly, and then daily. And so when I'm doing my weekly planning, it's like, so I do my quarterly planning, and then the weekly planning is like, just kind of syncing with the, kind of remind myself of what the quarterly objectives are. And really, I mean, the weekly planning, it's mostly, continue, like, things are in motion. And so it's just, like recalibrating with the projects that are, in motion already. And then where the one thing really comes into play is the daily planning. And so the one thing, it's amazing. It kind of it allows you to be really effective while also not working that much because all you got to do is you could just do one thing every day. But if it's the one thing, you're golden. And the problem is so many people, they'll do everything but their one thing. And they'll be busy. They'll have a full schedule, but they're doing the wrong things. And like, for me, I don't know where, like, I'd have to think, I guess, of like how I became this way. But yeah, well, I mean, the book, The One Thing, having a huge impact of just like, every day it's just thinking about, okay, what's, the one thing, or maybe it's two things or three things. Yeah, but just like every day,
show notes below. This is an amazing book. And to be honest, like right now I have on my screensaver, when you launch my computer, it says one thing you can do to make everything else easy or unnecessary, just because same thing every day. I'm just looking at what is the one piece that will make it all happen. And for quarterly planning, I just want to put another book there. 12-Week Year is an amazing book. I don't know if you read it or not, but it allows you to split your year into 12 weeks and consider it to be 12 week as a year, and that allows you to sometimes make what you would make in a year in 12 weeks. So it's a really impactful book. Highly recommend for anyone to read as well.
Yeah, I like just noticing. I think you. I also read a lot of books. Seems like you also read a lot of the same books, which is great. They're good books.
Yeah. I know you're reading Green Lights, one of my favorite ones from last year as well. Last year, my goal was actually to read 100 books. So I read quite a bunch. I stopped at 77 because I started podcasting, and it took a little bit of my time. But I forgave myself because I connected with so many amazing people and learned so many interesting stories that I said, that's okay. 77% is good enough.
Yeah. Did you do reading or audiobooks?
I mostly do audiobooks when I work out, when I run. I do a lot of running, and like I did triathlons. When I was doing that, I would be listening to books. So mostly audiobooks. But at night I'm reading as well. So, but I would read nonfiction or something not related to business or anything like that.
That's I think we've got similar habits in that.
I know. Yeah, so usually I look at what you are posting in your stories, and I'm like, that's a great book. I read that as well. One of the books I want to recommend from Nate's stories that I actually did not mention this somehow. The Greatest Salesman, I think, is one of the best books ever. So you guys read that.
Well, you know where I heard that from Matthew McConaughey recommended it. Actually, I heard it on he did an interview with Tim Ferriss where he mentioned the book, which is where I got it. And then now I'm listening to his book, which is so good. And he mentions it as well. But yeah, that book, The Greatest Salesman, I've listened to that probably at least 10 times now. And it's just like, I'll just, put it on in the background. It's just like good conditioning to kind of have in the background or reminders. Awesome book.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Everything will be in the show notes, so you guys can check it out, and you definitely should. For Green Lights, I recommend audiobook because Matthew narrates it himself, he's a really good narrator. So this book, it just flows so nicely.
And like he's just a man.
Go ahead.
Green Lights. Matthew McConaughey. I'm a fan.
The other question I do have, and for me, it's very interesting because we have similar habits. So how does your first 2 hours look like when you wake up?
Yeah, so usually so I sleep with my phone on airplane mode. And then so I'll wake up, wash up, make some tea, and then I'll do some meditation. And after meditation, I will I do a little like morning gratitude, or it's like I guess like a little intention, and then and then gratitude. And then I flip my phone off airplane mode and, usually kind of like check, I don't know, I get like flooded with like WhatsApp messages, and I have other notifications turned off, but I'll just kind of check some stuff. Drink my tea, and yeah, then I usually start my day with editing my like writing or posts. And so for the last, it's been, I don't know, like more than 6 months now, I've like committed to publishing every day on social media and some other platforms, or expanding some other stuff too. And so I have my the morning editing, publishing is like the first activity, like kind of activity that I'll do. And so that's kind of the start of the day. The thing is, it's, being in Thailand, some things it's tricky where like I'll have calls a lot at like 8 a.m., which is, which is fine. I don't know, I'm up early, I don't mind it. Other days I like to like have the morning to work. Yeah, it's like my ideal productivity, I'll probably is get into work just like right away. But because of schedules, routines, like, some days I'll go to yoga in the morning because that's the only time they have it. But like, I guess like in terms of the morning routine, it's like, phone on airplane mode, meditation, gratitude, writing. And I guess then it can go in a couple different directions.
Yeah, I actually want to go in one direction because you mentioned something I want to talk about, and this is your writing. Because how I first found about you was, I think Alex Hoodie, you were friends with him, and I was like looking through, I don't know, somehow I found your posts on social. And then your posts are very captivating. I'll be honest, you're doing a very good job. So you would read, it has like a great storyline. It would be like, it's not like a regular post, like, oh, like I do, here's my handstand or something like that. It would be really like engaging posts. So I want to talk more about that because I really like this. What's any techniques you can recommend, or what are you basing your writing on? How do you improving, and how do you make it so amazing? I guess that's a short question.
Man. Yeah, let's see. It's a lot. So I guess it starts. I was really, I guess I was inspired, or motivated from a couple of things. So one was I learned a lot from this guy named Jesse Elder. I don't know if you know Jesse or familiar with Jesse.
Yeah, I know Jesse. Yeah, follow him as well.
Amazing.
He's
guy.
amazing.
Yeah, and yeah, like we were at an event together, and he was speaking, and like his presentation was kind of about like how to share. Well, the title was ethical cult building, and basically it was like how to share to build trust with people, and hearing Jesse explain this like really shifted some things, and I realized that up to that point, I was only posting about my lifestyle, oh, here's me doing this. And, oh, now I'm over here. Oh, look at what I'm doing now. And like, lifestyle posts are fine, but that's like a piece. And then, other things, sharing stories, sharing your values, sharing, results, wins, all like, if you want to build trust, it's like, you need to, you need to share the complete picture, not just, one, perspective angle. And so that was one kind of like, light bulb for me, like, oh, okay. Like I gotta, share other things and values and like, oh, then I'll go like, what are my values and, stories and, and yeah, that's been, that's been a big thread that I've been really enjoying, like learning more about and just trying to, improve and really like with a lot of my writing, it's, like the way that I guess like how I'm currently doing it, and it's evolved as I've been doing it daily now for quite a few months. It's like, so what I do, it's all I'll have an idea of like something that I want to share or convey a lesson, a truth, like like a belief. Like there's kind of like the core of whatever it is will I'll kind of have this idea of something that I want to share, a mindset change, whatever. And then the thing is, I've learned that like, if you want to impact people, it's like, you can't tell them what to do. They need to figure things out for themselves. So you need to lead them down the same path for them to make the same learning and realization, as opposed to saying like, it's better if you did this or whatever. Like, I don't know, that doesn't resonate. People hear it, maybe they listen, maybe they don't. But really the way to impact beliefs and like motivate action is like, people need to have the realization for themselves. And the way that you can do that is through stories and storytelling. And like, that's, stories are how, as a species, we've, communicated on, passed down knowledge, traditions for, our history. Like, we're wired to believe and just kind of internalize stories. And so for me, usually, so like how I kind of approach my writing is like, all right, what do I want people to believe? Like, what is the big idea that I'm trying to convey? And then it's a story. Then I go work backwards. Okay, well, like, what was the story for me? Like, how did I come to realize, this, important piece of information? Or what's a story from someone else I could point out, or, my friend, and he did this. And so, yeah, I mean, really just trying to, share things that like have been useful for me and helpful. And I'm just like addicted to like growth and learning. And like, I love it. I love audiobooks. I love learning. I get so excited, like learning things that I think are going to help me improve this, improve that. Like, I love improving myself. And so when I also love sharing and helping others to do the same. And so it's like, I'm just kind of perpetually on this quest to, improve my, my business, my personal life, just everything, health, family, relationships. And so like, as I'm exploring this, I come across these things that I think are also important. And yeah, I also enjoy sharing, and I generally get good feedback that they like hearing it. And yeah, and this is something that I really like, I see as, so back to the idea that the one thing, like for me now, I see writing and publishing as my one thing. And like, all right, if I do literally nothing, but I just keep publishing every day, like, to be honest, like, I don't know where it's leading, but I know that if I keep doing it, it's gonna, bring me to opportunities and places where, that I want to be. And I mean, it has already led to, some great, like positive benefits in my life from versus before I was doing it. And so it's like, it's already, started, but I see that as just like, all right, that's my one thing. If I do this, I do nothing else. And like, I'll be moving in a direction that I want to be going in, or I'm happy with.
Yeah, definitely. Please continue doing that, because I personally really enjoy writing. So if no one else will read that, I'll probably will, because I mean, a lot of people read it. I'm just making fun, but definitely very impactful and very interesting. And it makes my head thinking as well. Maybe I should try, instead of just posting stuff that I really want the people to change their beliefs, or just tell them something. Maybe I should do it in a better way that will capture them and engage them better.
If you're interested in that, a couple, just things from my experience, and like a big thing also for me was just kind of, getting into the consistent routine of it. It for better, for worse, it makes each post like not as important. And what I mean by that is like, before, I don't know, I'd post intermittently, and it's like, oh, I think of something, and then I'd post it, and it's like, oh, well, like, why did it get more likes? Or, oh, this one is blowing up. Great. Oh, this one isn't. Why not? Like, oh, and, there's this like weight and when you commit to the process and like now it's like post and it's like, okay, well, like people didn't really seem to like, that angle or, that topic. And it's just like, oh, well, post again tomorrow. And like, oh, people really like that. Oh, okay. Well, like maybe, but it's just, like committing to the process has, it's been amazing. And I think that's like the way to do anything is to, commit to the process. And like committing to the process of writing has been, it's been amazing. I mean, I've, so much growth and learning and insights personally and writing also. It's like, I realize how it helps me to get clarity on my thoughts. And so if I'm wrestling with something or going through something or have some big idea, like, forcing myself to articulate that on paper and in a way that is easy to understand, by others, like, it forces you to refine that thinking. And would encourage it if you're interested. Like it's been, like I said, super positive.
Yeah, I'll definitely double into that. I think podcast is doing similar for me. I committed to do 300 episodes, and I said if I don't like it after 300 episodes, I'll just forget it. But indirectly, it's bringing me so much value. I know. I'm already at one. It's been 7 months. I'm already at 120. So I'm going hard on this, and every week it's about 2-3 episodes. Yeah, nice. And it's, I don't know why, but it's it changed my life completely. Like I feel that it's not like I don't have much more money, or I don't have, I don't know, more opportunities. Maybe I do, but I have those connections that are much more important to me. And every day I will be like, this is one thing I need to do that because it just changed my life so much.
Well, we'll say my other one thing besides writing is 2 podcasts a week. And so like that's, agree with you those are my 2 things, but yeah, the podcasting, it's amazing to, get an opportunity to connect with new people and
have deep conversations. For me, it's a deep conversation that doesn't happen when you just sit down in like 5 people, 6 people or whatever. It's very hard to get somebody's attention that they don't watch their phone or just like focused for a certain period of time. And I think podcast allows us to do that. So that's amazing. The last sort of section I have here, it's called rapid fire questions. I do ask every entrepreneur same questions to get their opinions on things. You can answer shortly. You can take your time. Like whatever works for you. The first question I ask is, how did your life change when you started making significant amount of money from where you started?
I had a less of a tolerance for doing activities that I didn't want to do and then didn't have to do because I had a budget to hire other people to do them.
Yeah, that's a great answer. The other one is an interesting one for sure. Which book or books have the most influenced you in your journey?
Oh man, I could go on a lot about these. Let's see.
Let's say the one we haven't mentioned yet, because we mentioned a bunch of books today. So
a little bit of a different, different kind of category than ones that we've been talking about is it's called The Untethered Soul by this guy Michael A. Singer. Man, it's like, honestly, I think everyone in the world should read that book, and they'll be like, the world will be a better place. They'll be happier. It's about being happier. It's like, mindfulness and the thoughts in your head, and you are not your thoughts, and being aware of the energy that we have. And I'm really into Michael A. Singer stuff. I was listening to some of his audiobook, earlier today, highly recommend.
I don't know if you read anything by Anthony DeMello, but his book, Awareness, is just, I think you'll love it. So if you haven't read it, I recommend it as well. It's just life-changing.
Actually, I was just listening to that recently, and he had there's a example or something that he talked about in there that really, I don't know, shifted some stuff for me in a good way. I saw that recommended recommended recently. Yeah, thank you.
This guy is super cool. Yeah, Antares Sol put it in the show notes. I think we talked about it in this podcast lots of times. I'm happy that another person confirmed that this book is amazing, and I agree, one of my favorite books as well. The question that I don't ask many entrepreneurs, but I ask those who are in spiritual path, and I think you are in spiritual path, so it's interesting for me. What does it mean for you to live a happy life?
Yeah, that's the short answer. I think to understand and to realize our talents and to recognize and share our gifts in a way that's both energizing for us and in service to others. Yeah, we can stop there.
Yeah, amazing. The other question is, since you're a digital nomad, this question I do ask digital nomads. Our mutual friend Alex Hudi, when I ask him which travel destination apart from Bali, he really loves Bali, he likes the most, he said Koh Phangan, which is where you're currently at. So if we say, don't say Koh Phangan and don't say Bali, what would be the travel destination that you recommend a digital nomad to visit?
Well, we'll say in Europe, some of my favorite cities are, also like, nomad entrepreneur hotspots, like Lisbon. It's an amazing city. I love Lisbon. Budapest, and Barcelona. I've had spent a lot of time and in other years have, been a hotspot for good communities. But yeah, those are some of my other favorite cities.
Lisbon is still pretty hot. We've been there for 6 months during COVID, and it's amazing. Budapest, I don't know. I haven't been in the community there, but we spent a month there. It's a little bit quiet there, but yeah, one of my favorite places as well. Barcelona, we haven't been there. Right now, I'm in Valencia, which is close by, but not too close. So, but also recommend I don't know if you've been or not, but it's really, really a nice place. The last question I do ask every entrepreneur, it's my journey. So the podcast called 10 Million Journey. I ask every entrepreneur to give me an advice. Currently, I am running an Amazon business. We have 2 products. Every product is doing about $100,000. I want to scale this to 1 million and then to 10 million. Knowing what you know, which is not much, what advice can you give me?
I would say whatever your goals or problems or challenge, a reframe to think about it is instead of thinking what you have to do or how to do it, think of who can help you and connect with them, and the podcast being an amazing opportunity to connect with pretty much whoever you want. So yeah, I think whatever you want to do or achieve, you can use the podcast as a tool to connect with and interview them about any and everything that you want or need to know. And yeah, I think you're doing a lot of that already, but that would be the.
You definitely cracked my secret there. So now everyone knows. Amazing. Thank you, Nate. It's been great pleasure. That's all my questions. How can people find more about yourself?
Yeah, best would be social media at Nate Ginsburg on Instagram or Facebook. And yeah, if you're interested in any of this stuff that we've been talking about, I talk a lot about these things and more. And so yeah, if you're interested, feel free to check it out and send me a message. Love to connect with other like-minded people. If anything resonated, would love to hear it. And yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. And for everyone listening, you guys can follow us at 10 Million Journey on Instagram, facebook.com/10 Million Journey, or subscribe, www.10millionjourney.com. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.